Welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be looking into this pretty interesting story of a guy named Patrick Devine and the world of private banking.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story. Devine, after 9 years of intense research, he analyzed over 5,560 documents and government submissions, all in pursuit of financial sovereignty. And he was incredibly thorough in documenting his process. He actually wrote essays to accompany every submission. So he essentially created a roadmap for others to follow.
So who was this guy? Where did he come from?
Well, Devine was, kind of Renaissance man. He was an Iowa native, a military veteran, had a really diverse work history. I mean, he worked at a nuclear power plant. He worked in construction. He was even a licensed stockbroker for a while. So, not your typical financial guru.
What was it that drew him to financial liberation?
Well, he was driven by a belief in individual empowerment. He saw the flaws in the conventional financial system and believed that people could achieve greater freedom by understanding and operating outside of it.
That's where the idea of private banking comes in. Right. What does that even mean?
So private banking, in the context of Devine's teachings, is about, creating your own financial structures and systems, ones that operate independently of, traditional banks, and government control. It's about taking ownership of your finances and managing them according to your own principles.
So was he successful in putting this into practice?
Well, he believed he found a path to financial freedom. And while the details of his system are pretty complex, his research and his writings laid the groundwork for what Paulmichael is now building upon.
Tell me about Paulmichael. How did he get connected with all this?
Well, Paulmichael was on his own journey to financial freedom. He tried a bunch of different approaches, different gurus, but he hadn't found what he was looking for. And then he came across Devine's teachings, and it was like a light bulb went off. He saw the potential to modernize it and structure Devine's work, make it more accessible and more applicable to the modern world.
What's his approach to carrying this all forward?
Well, he's got this really unique perspective. He comes from a background in healthcare and software development, which has instilled in him a very structured and business-oriented mindset. He's all about, clear, actionable steps and building systems that actually work.
So not just reading books and hoping for the best.
Exactly. In fact, he was actually frustrated by the whole read more books advice that's often given by, other gurus and stuff. He wants to give people the tools and resources to actually implement these principles.
So that's where Creditor Academy comes in.
Right.
It's more about taking action.
Absolutely.
Not just understanding concepts.
Exactly. Creditor Academy is really his vision for this comprehensive platform that combines education with practical support. It's got two main branches. The first one is the Academy itself. It offers these courses on a range of topics related to private banking, the structure of a private bank, business trusts, even how to navigate things like tribal submissions. Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
What about the second branch?
So the second branch is called the back office. It's designed to support individuals who are actually trying to build and run their own private banking systems. It provides all the essential functions that you would need. Think of it as a one-stop shop. HR, marketing, legal, software development. They even have specialized roles, like a private attorney general, a banking examiner.
Wait a minute. A private attorney general? A banking examiner? This is serious.
Oh, yeah. He understands that you need a solid infrastructure and a support system to build a successful private banking system. He's not just throwing people into the deep end. He's giving them the resources to navigate this complex world.
It sounds like he's building a movement almost.
Kind of.
A community.
Yeah.
Dedicated to this idea of financial sovereignty through private banking. What's at the core of his vision for all this?
Well, one of the key things he emphasizes is having a really clear vision. He believes that a lot of people in the, truth movement get lost in the information overload and they lack direction. So a vision provides focus, motivation. It helps you overcome obstacles.
So it's not just about mastering technicalities. It's about having a bigger purpose driving you forward.
Exactly. For him, that purpose is rooted in the principles of financial freedom, empowering individuals to take control of their financial destinies. He believes that by understanding and applying Devine's work, people can achieve a level of freedom they never thought possible.
It's inspiring to see him take such a complex subject and make it accessible to a wider audience. But before we move on, I want to go back to Patrick Devine for a second. You mentioned his research. He was a stickler for details, spending hours with dictionaries, legal documents. Why was that so important to him?
Well, he believed that language was the key to understanding the legal and financial systems. He felt like there was a lot of deception and manipulation in the way language was used. He was determined to uncover the true meaning behind the words. So he would meticulously analyze legal documents, statutes, regulations, always looking for the nuances, the hidden meanings that could empower individuals.
So he wasn't just accepting things at face value.
Not at all.
He was looking for the truth behind the surface. What were some of his key findings that led him to this idea of private banking?
Well, that's a great question. And it's one that we're going to explore in a lot more depth in the next part of our deep dive. So stay tuned. We're going to be unraveling the mysteries of Divine's research and diving into the practical steps that Paulmichael outlines for building your own private banking system. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about Patrick Divine's research and how his findings led him to this idea of developing a system for private banking.
Yeah, his dedication to going over all those dictionaries and legal documents was incredible. It was like he was on this quest to decipher a secret code or something. What did he actually find? What were some of the big aha moments for him?
Well, one of Divine's core beliefs was that true freedom came from understanding the system, especially the legal and financial aspects of it. He really felt like most people were operating within a system that wasn't really serving them well, but they didn't even know it.
Yeah, it's easy to feel lost in all the legal jargon and financial stuff. Did he find that the way everyday language was used was kind of deceptive?
That's exactly what he found. He thought that the way legal and financial terms were defined often hid their true meaning and their implications. He saw it as a form of control, keeping people in the dark about their rights and their options. So his research was all about reclaiming that power by really understanding the language.
Makes sense. How did this all connect to private banking then?
Well, through his research, Divine discovered all these legal frameworks and financial instruments that he felt empowered people to operate outside the conventional banking system. He saw them as tools for creating these personalized financial structures that could offer people more control, more privacy, and autonomy.
Okay, but how can the average person wrap their head around all that?
Yeah, you're right. It's not easy. But remember, Paulmichael is really dedicated to making this knowledge accessible. He recognized the genius in Divine's work, but he knew it needed to be presented in a way that people could actually use. That's a huge part of what he's doing with Creditor Academy.
Right. He wants to bridge the gap between the theory and actually doing it. So how does he make this private banking world practical?
He's very methodical and structured in his approach. He takes Divine's principles and breaks them down into smaller pieces, and he presents them in a way that's easy to understand, but also comprehensive. The Academy has a variety of different courses for all different levels, from basic concepts to more advanced stuff.
It's like learning a new language.
Exactly. You start with the basics and then build from there. And just like learning a language, practice is key. That's where the back office services come in. They help you actually implement what you learn in the courses.
So can you give us some specific examples of how they help people build their private banking systems?
Sure. One of the main things they help with is setting up legal entities, like trusts and business structures. They give guidance on how to choose the right ones for your goals, and they make sure everything is legal and compliant.
That sounds super valuable, especially for someone who isn't a legal expert. What other kinds of services do they offer?
They also help with financial management. They offer guidance on investing, protecting your assets, and making sure your wealth is preserved, all within this framework of a private banking system.
So they're not just giving you instructions and saying good luck.
No, not at all. They're there to support you and offer their expertise through the whole process.
That's a big difference.
It is. Paulmichael believes that to build a successful private banking system, you need more than just knowledge. You need a community and support. He talks a lot about how important it is to surround yourself with like-minded people who have similar goals.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like going on a difficult journey. Having people to support you can make all the difference.
Exactly. And that's why Creditor Academy is so much more than just courses. It's a community of people who want financial sovereignty, and they help each other succeed.
This is all super interesting, but I can see how some people might feel overwhelmed by it all. What would you say to someone who likes the idea of private banking, but feels like it's too much to learn?
That's a valid concern. It's important to remember that this is a journey, not a race. Paulmichael always says to start with the basics, build a strong foundation, and gradually add to your knowledge and skills over time.
So it's not about becoming an expert overnight. It's about continuous learning.
Exactly. And that's one of the great things about Creditor Academy. It gives you a clear path to follow with steps and milestones along the way, so it doesn't feel as overwhelming.
This is all very promising. But Divine disappeared after years of research. Do we know why he left and what his message meant? You know, now it's up to you to set yourselves free.
That's one of the big mysteries. There are lots of theories, but nobody knows for sure.
Do you think his message was like a call to action for his followers to take control of their finances?
I think it's definitely possible to see it that way. And in a way, Paulmichael is answering that call. He's taking Divine's work and making it more practical so that more people can benefit from it. He's empowering others to continue Divine's legacy.
It's amazing how one person's dedication and ideas can have such a big impact on others, inspiring them to make positive changes.
Absolutely. And that's what's so great about this whole story. It's not just about financial strategies. It's about empowerment and taking control of your own life.
Now, in the last part of our deep dive,
we'll be looking at some of the tools and strategies Paulmichael teaches for actually building a private banking system. We'll also talk about his idea of the 2 straw men that can hold people back from reaching financial sovereignty.
That sounds really interesting. So we're back and ready to jump into this idea of the 2 straw men.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept, and it gets to the heart of what true freedom really means. Basically, Paulmichael believes that we all face these 2 types of limitations when we're trying to achieve financial sovereignty. He calls them straw men because they're like these constructs that can be taken apart once we understand how they work.
I'm listening.
All right, so the first straw man is external. It's the system we're all born into. You know, the one with all the rules and institutions and structures, like the Social Security Administration. It's the framework that dictates how most people interact with the financial world.
So it's like we're playing a game, but we don't even realize there are rules.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the second straw man?
That one's internal. It's all the limitations we put on ourselves. Fears, doubts, limiting beliefs, negative self-talk, all those things. These internal barriers can be just as powerful as any external constraint.
Wow, yeah, that's like we're holding ourselves back.
Exactly.
So how do we deal with these 2 straw men?
Well, he suggests a multifaceted approach. For the external straw man, it's about education. Understanding the rules of the game. Remember Divine's research? That was all about uncovering those hidden rules and then using that knowledge to create alternative systems.
Right, so knowledge is power in that case? But what about the internal straw man? How do we break free from our own limitations?
Paulmichael is really big on mindset. He says you need a strong vision, a clear sense of purpose, and you have to believe in yourself. That's how you overcome internal obstacles. Oh, and he also talks about the importance of positive self-talk, replacing those negative thoughts with empowering ones.
So it's about choosing to focus on what we want instead of what we're afraid of.
Exactly.
But how does all this translate into actually building a private banking system?
Well, he gives people a step-by-step plan. It includes setting up legal entities, like trusts and business structures, developing a financial plan that works for you, and creating systems to protect your assets and build wealth. This is where the back office services at Creditor Academy come in. They can guide you through the whole thing.
So it's really a holistic approach. It's not just about the technical stuff.
Right.
It's about the mindset, too.
Exactly.
How does all this tie back into Patrick Divine?
Well, Paulmichael sees himself as carrying on Divine's work. He's taking that groundbreaking research and making it more practical so that more people can use it. He's fulfilling Divine's vision of empowering individuals to set themselves free.
It's amazing how one person's work can have such a ripple effect.
It really is.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive. As we wrap up here, what's the one thing you hope listeners take away from all this?
I hope they see the possibilities. Building a private banking system might seem like a lot, but with the right knowledge and support, it's totally doable. Paulmichael and Creditor Academy are giving people the tools they need to make it happen.
So it's all about taking that first step.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Remember what Patrick Divine said. Now it's up to you to set yourselves free. That's really what it's all about. Taking control of your own financial well-being and creating a life with more freedom and abundance.
This has been fantastic. Thanks for joining us. And to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep exploring the world of private banking and see what it can do for you. Until next time.